Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golf Ireland podcast. This week, I'm Valerie Wheeler, and I'm joined by Stephen Murphy. Stephen, how is life? Are you recovered after your mad weekend?
I am indeed. I am indeed. We had a great weekend. I was on a stag for my mate Fergal's stag was on in Sligo, where I went to college actually. So it was great to be back in a. It is a city, I think, isn't it, Sligo? I think it is a city, Clare, but it's obviously not a very big one. But a town that I know quite well, and it was great to see what's. It's amazing. I've been out of college nearly 8 years now, so that's maybe giving away my age a little bit. But what's still open, what's closed, what's new, what's the new spot and all that. So it was a great weekend. We had great weather, got a bit of a sunburn, but really, really enjoyable. And then had the bank holiday Monday to get back to normality, I suppose. So that was great. But anyway, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Sure, you know me, like still in the thick of GA season. The Munster final is approaching this weekend, so it should be an all exciting game. I am looking forward to it, I must say.
Sorry, remind me who's playing.
Stop it, Stephen.
I wouldn't follow it. Sorry, I'm assuming. Are we talking about hurling here or football?
Hurling.
So Limerick and someone, I presume.
Claire.
Limerick and Clare.
You
Okay, I
should
got you.
be
Got you. Got you.
ashamed of yourself. There's
I
GA
know. I'm
up and
sorry.
down the
Sorry.
country
Sorry.
now. Absolutely
Look
sickening
at
for me.
this is the Golf Ireland podcast, not the GA Ireland podcast. Okay, I know who won last weekend in the golf, and that's all that matters. Talk to me, Valerie, about you announced last week on the podcast that you were running a marathon in a couple of months. What's been the feedback like? I seen on your socials you went for on the weekend. How is it going?
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's like week 3 of my training, which isn't too bad. I have put it out into the big bad world there now that I am doing it. So I feel like now that I've said it, that I'm running the Dublin Marathon, now I feel like it's extra scary. You know, I feel like now the pressure starts because people are like, all right, we expect her to run this marathon. We're going to be keeping an eye on her. But yeah, I feel like the videos are helping me just, I suppose, hold myself accountable. And to be fair, loads of people are reaching out and they're being really nice about it and giving me loads of tips and wanting to come on runs with me, which is really nice because I suppose when you're running on your own, it's hard. I don't really like listening to music while running. I like listening to podcasts, especially the Golf Ireland one. But
Great plug. Great plug, Valerie. I don't think you want to listen to yourself, do you? Is that what motivates you to run? Listen to us too.
yeah, but
That's
look, I'm
great though.
excited. I'm excited. Yeah, but nervous, but I'll be grand. I'll be fine.
Just keep thinking of the feeling when you get it done. That's gonna be pretty amazing, I'm sure. Pretty smug. You're gonna be pretty smug as well, I'd say. I'd be pretty smug too.
I'm gonna like put it on my bio on Instagram, like marathon runner, you know.
And then the next step will be ultra marathons, which is 100 miles or whatever that is.
My legs wouldn't carry me. They wouldn't carry
Yeah.
me.
No, not many people would, to be fair. But yeah, look, we had two guests on this week. I unfortunately got caught up with work, so I was very lazy this week. Valerie, you were holding the fort down. You had two great guests. Tell us a little bit about before them before we throw over.
Yeah, we've Caolan Rafferty after his big win last weekend. He was in St.Andrews ready to tee off when we were chatting to him. So he was a busy man. So he tells us all about the win and what he's looking forward to this week. And then we had Sarah Banville from Golf Ireland. She's the safeguarding and inclusion coordinator. Really interesting stat about golfers with disabilities and how they help them around the country in Ireland and kind of the events that they put on for them. So really interesting and insightful chat with Sarah this week.
Fantastic. Two great guests, and we hope you enjoy listening to them. We'll throw them over to those chats now.
Joining me on the Golf Ireland podcast this week, and I'm sure he's still on a high after his big win, Caolan Rafferty. Caolan, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
First of all, congratulations, winner at the Kingspan East of Ireland last weekend. I mean, has it kicked in yet that that's what happened?
Yeah, well, I haven't had much time to let it settle in, but yeah, look, delighted to get the win last week. It's obviously one that I wanted for the last while, so it's nice to get over the line eventually.
Yeah, I did read that, look, it probably was the one you craved so most. And was it because I suppose over the years you were so close being back-to-back runner-up?
Yeah, like get coming close to them a few years. Finished third as well the year previous that I played it. So it's knocking on the door for that long. It was one that I was hoping to get over the line, but the fact that it's so close to home, so many people could come up and watch, and the support was brilliant on the day as well. So it was nice.
You know, you were so close for the last few years, and like mentally, was it a small bit training that you were so close and you were to keep trying and eventually get there? Did that have an impact mentally at all?
Yeah, well, like it was pretty good the last 2 years from second to just Alex, who was on fire. The big difference this year, I suppose, was the putter worked. The last 2 years, I kind of slowed up in the last two rounds, so it was definitely a nice one to get, and the way we done it as well is even better.
Like, how much time for you goes into the preparation and I suppose getting ready for these competitions?
Very little. The day before is kind of where I'm at. I'm a bit laid back when it comes to prep for everything. Lads will say that about me as well, but yeah, kind of just tee it up and see what happens.
Stop it. No, you have to do some sort of it, for God's sake. That's how relaxed you are about these things.
Yeah, look, come here. Like, it's golf at the end of the day. You don't know what's going to happen. Each day is a different day, so you just have to take it as it comes.
Yeah, because you do work as well, and like your job has golf involved with it too. So you're the ping rep here in Ireland.
Yeah, so I'm doing the fitting here in Ireland. So it's golf every day of the week, watching people and fitting them for clubs and trying to make them better as well, which it's a nice feeling to get that as well.
And I mean, outside of the golf, is there come the time that you're like, oh my God, I've enough golf for one day, or is it just that you so much love golf that you don't mind it?
No, there's plenty of days where I just sit back and don't even think about it. Probably more them days than not as well.
Yeah, well, that's nice to hear from a golfer now, because not many golfers would admit to that, if I'm being totally honest with you.
Yeah, no, we need our time away from the golf course as well.
You do. And then after your win, of course, you had a lovely little homecoming in Dundalk Golf Club. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. It was pity that it was a wee bit late in the evening, and people obviously on a bank holiday Monday, the probably weekend took it out of them, so they were all at home, probably getting ready for work the next day. But there was a few there when we got back. It was nice to see the faces. Um, they were short-lived sort of celebrations. Then I was on the way to St.Andrews the next day, so it was all systems go. Hadn't anything packed either to go away, so I had a busy Tuesday morning.
Yeah, typical man, nothing packed, nothing ready to go. Keelan,
No, nothing, not even the golf bag.
you are sitting in a van currently in St. Andrews on the first tee. Tell us about this week and what's ahead of you.
Yeah, so we're playing the St.Andrews Links Trophy. One of the big ones of the year. Alex, obviously the winner of it as well. So hopefully I can do what he done last year, win the East and win St.Andrews and have a great 2 weeks.
I mean, surely the win last weekend will definitely be a massive confidence heading in this week to St. Andrews.
Yeah, look, as I say, it's golf. We could go out this week and play horrendous. We just don't know what's going to happen. You just have to, as I say, take it by ear. But no, St.Andrews has been good to me over the years, so hopefully it can continue in that vein.
I think so far since I've been on this Golf Ireland pod, I'd say you're the most relaxed and laid back golfer that I've ever chatted to.
Yeah, have to be. We get wound up enough on the golf course. We have to relax off it.
Look, you've won the West, the South, and the East. So is the North next?
Yeah, that's the one now. Obviously, I'll be earmarking each year, maybe try and get up. It's one I actually haven't really got to play too often. Generally, it clashes with European teams and stuff. Um, but I'll have to make a few exceptions now, whether it be this year or maybe not, but definitely over the next couple of years to get up and try and get all 4 provincial titles, which would be a nice thing to say.
It would be absolutely amazing. Well, I know you're busy and you're mad to head out there to hit a few balls and try to get yourself sorted for the next couple of days. Keelan, congratulations again and thank you so much for chatting to us on the Golf Ireland pod this week and best of luck, all right?
Thanks, mate, for having me, Valerie. Thank you.
Joining me on the Golf Ireland podcast this week is Sarah Banville. She is the Safeguarding and Inclusion Coordinator at Golf Ireland. Sarah, welcome to the pod.
Thanks very much for having me, Valerie.
First of all, that's a mouthy title now. Can you tell us maybe what exactly your role is at Golf Ireland? First of all, Sarah.
Yeah, so I suppose I wear a few different hats. I work in 2 departments here in Golf Ireland. So I work in the safeguarding department with Fiona Power. I say department, it's a department of 2 people, but nonetheless. So on that side of the role, I would kind of process any of the guard event forms that come through, and monitor them as they go through the vetting process, contact everyone then once they've completed their vetting. Then I organise all the, the safeguarding workshops. A big part of that role, I suppose, is we have a couple of hundred volunteers, so it's ensuring that they're up to date with all their kind of safeguarding requirements. The inclusion side of the role then is a bit kind of broader, let's say. It'd be generally from the development perspective though. So I suppose we're looking at trying to get more underrepresented groups into golf. We do that a lot through participation programs. We organise kind of a lot of training and education. We organise tournaments for golfers with disabilities. We have different kind of grants going for clubs. We have coaching program there for golfers with disability, and something new this year is a travel bursary that's available to golfers with a disability. So every week can kind of look similar, but can turn different very quickly depending on kind of what's happening. But it's good. It's a mix of kind of being in the office and out on the ground as well, and meeting the people that you are meeting in the Zoom meetings in advance. So yeah, it's great to get out in the ground and meet everyone as well. I enjoy that.
Yeah, it's an important role, but it sounds like it's a busy role, Sarah, to be honest. Talk us about the golf, about the work Golf Ireland is doing for golfers with a disability, and I suppose how that has come on in recent years and how important it is.
Yeah, look, it's really important and it's a mainstay in our strategic plan, and every department in Golf Ireland here has their own remit for creating more opportunities for people with disabilities. I suppose Deborah and I, Deborah's the EDI manager, we kind of lead a lot of it, but like the championships department have their tournaments, the comms department lead out on their parts, and the high performance department will be sending teams to European team championships for golfers with a disability. But I suppose I said Deborah and I would lead a few different teams. In terms of how we do that, we kind of look at it from introducing people with disabilities into golf, keeping them in golf, and then guiding them towards the kind of competition pathway, let's say. So we would attend or organise a lot of what we call awareness days, where we kind of introduce underrepresented groups to golf. They're kind of like standalone one-day events. So we'd invite an underrepresented group, and we get a PGA professional, a Golf Ireland development officer, to introduce the group to chip and putt and driving. We try and remove as many barriers as possible. So like sometimes it's in the golf club, sometimes it's not, because getting people across the door of the golf club can be a little bit daunting sometimes. So sometimes we bring it out. We could go to an indoor hall, we can go to any green space and do it there. So last year, I think we did about 35 of them, and we probably get about 1,400, 1,500 participants kind of introduced to golf. And the follow-on step from that then is to kind of link them with a participation program in their area. So for people with disabilities, that's the Golf for All program. So that's kind of the branded term for participation program in clubs for people with disabilities. So a few years ago, there was only about 14 or 15 clubs delivering that program, and this year I think we're up to about 40, maybe not exactly 40, but in or around. So to see that growth over the last couple of years, and to see the clubs kind of get more involved in this space is brilliant. And it's really, really important in terms of the pathway that we're trying to create for golfers with a disability. So anyone in the awareness days, we try to link them with the programs. The program can kind of look different from club to club. Generally, it can be like a 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 week program where they avail of coaching with a PGA professional. There's kind of some social activities, equipment is provided for them and stuff like that. And the club will kind of engage in some training education beforehand as well, so they're prepared for the program. And kind of, if players with disabilities then want to move towards competing a bit more, we have regional events happening now. So we kind of saw a gap there over the last couple of years. There was a bit of a jump from the golf club to the Irish Open for golfers with a disability, which is an international tournament. So we kind of introduce some regional events. We're collaborating with the Disabled and Inclusive Golf Association for those events. And then moving forward, if people want to compete internationally, they can play in the Irish Open for golfers with a disability. So that's the pathway at the moment. We'll look at fleshing it out a bit more and providing more supports along the pathway as much as we can as time goes on. And I suppose that's just an introduction of how it looks at the moment.
Look, it's so important. I love that you've decided, you are looking at it and you want to improve it year on year. You did recently attend a workshop though, and you got to see some of the G4D Open. I mean, what was that event like for you?
Yeah, look, it's a fabulous event. It's a highlight in the calendar year for many golfers with a disability. So Deborah and I were over there, there was a conference on, so it's great to meet, I suppose, other people in similar roles as us, from other countries. But more importantly, yeah, we had, I think it was 4 or 5 Irish players competing in the G40 Open. Unfortunately, Brendan Lawler was pipped on the last day. But look, to have our Irish players playing over there is massive, and you know, we supported them as much as we can in terms of a bursary. You know, it's expensive to get over to all these events, and in fairness, we're a competitive bunch, so we've a lot of golfers with disabilities traveling across Europe to play in tournaments. So we have to keep looking at the barriers that they might potentially come up against and see where we can kind of alleviate them. But that is kind of the pinnacle for a lot of golfers with disability now. They want to be playing at that G40 Open every year.
Of course they do. And we also have the ISPS Handa Irish Open for golfers with a disability next. And can you tell us a bit about that from your perspective, Sarah?
Yeah, so I feel like a bit of a fraud sitting here talking about the Irish Open for golfers with a disability. That is the championships department, and they do a great job at it. So credit to them in terms of the tournament organisation. I suppose a bit about the tournament, and then I can give you my perspective on it, or my role at it. So it's a 2-day tournament. I think there's about 50 in or around golfers with a disability competing. So you'll see some of the best Irish golfers with a disability competing there. You'll have Brendan Lawler is playing, who is a professional golfer with a disability. You'll have Fiona Gray from the female perspective playing as well. And then you'll have players literally traveling from Australia. I saw this morning there's players from Turkey, right across Europe. They'll travel across to compete. Players who compete in this tournament are playing for world ranking points. So there is an international world ranking system for golfers with a disability, and the set of tournaments across Europe, there's certain points available at each tournament. So this is the one that we have in Ireland. So it's a flagship event for us here in Golf Ireland. At that event, you'll see like golfers who are blind and visually impaired. You'll see golfers who play golf one-handed. You'll see golfers who play golf with no hands. You'll see people who have leg amputations. You'll see people who play from what we call a seated position. So there's a device called a paragolfer. So let's say there's a person who plays golf and they use a wheelchair in their everyday life. They can avail of a device called a paragolfer. So essentially it's a device where they sit into it, and it helps them stand upright to strike the ball. So once they hit the ball, then they'll sit back down again and they'll drive along the course as if they're kind of driving a buggy. So everything they have will be attached to the device. So all their golf clubs and everything will be at hand. They'll just grab it and press the button, stand up, hit the ball, and on they go. It's fantastic. So it's a great opportunity if anybody wants to go see some inspiring golf. I would definitely recommend getting over to Roganstown next Tuesday and Wednesday. From my perspective, then I suppose looking from the development side of things, we'd always try to tie in this event because it is a flagship event for us. We'd like to use it to the best of its ability. So usually we kind of do like awareness day or a come and try clinic for local kids. This year, in fairness, actually last year we did a come and try clinic, and then they got a meet and greet with some of the players. So that was fantastic, you know, for the kids to see, look, this is what you can achieve, you know, if you want to play golf. This year we're doing something similar but different. We'd organise a lot of training and education for our clubs and club volunteers, PGA professionals. So we're going to do that at Roganstown this year. So it's kind of like a practical workshop. So usually they'd be kind of theoretical learning where they learn, you know, terminology and stuff like that. They'll do that again next week, but they're going to get practical element as well, where they'll learn how golfers with disabilities play golf. So the participants of the training workshops will put on a blindfold. They'll play golf blind. They'll play golf with one hand. They'll play with one leg, and they'll play from a seated position. So it's kind of like a simulation. So they'll see the different ways that golfers with a disability play golf. After that, then they'll learn kind of how to deliver and organize a participation program, the Golf for All program, at their club at that local level. And the adaptations that sometimes might be needed for people with disabilities. And then at the end of the workshop, they will support the delivery of a clinic for kids. So they get that practical hands-on experience, and they can head off then and watch the tournament and watch some of the best golfers in the world play golf at that really high level as well. So we thought it was a kind of a nice way to tie in and make the most out of the tournament.
I mean, it sounds so interesting. I'd love to see, I suppose the golfers show us how they do it and what they do. It sounds absolutely amazing. That's next Tuesday, Wednesday you mentioned, was it, Sarah?
Next Tuesday, Wednesday, yeah. So the practice round is on Monday, competition day is on Tuesday and Wednesday, yeah, up in Rogan Sound Golf Club in Swords.
Okay, and can
Yeah.
anyone go to that? Can we rock
Yeah,
on?
yeah, rock on, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Stunning. Golf Ireland, you mentioned, also hosts all abilities events. This is with the DIGA, right? It must be great to see those events taking place all around the country as well.
Yeah, it's great to see them taking off. From kind of, we'd always obviously be taking feedback from the players, any tournament, any event that we do, we're taking feedback just so we can, you know, keep on top of the potential barriers and what players want and what players need. Because that's the whole point at the end of the day. We want to cater to their needs and ensure that they're getting the best golf experience possible. So we saw a gap there at the regional level. As I said, there was participation programs on the ground. There's the Irish Open, which is an international tournament at that top level. But then in the middle, there are groups and societies, in fairness, which do fantastic work. And then we looked at collaborating with the Disabled and Inclusive Golf Association to organise pan-disability tournaments in each region. So there's 8 altogether, 2 in each region. So the aim of that is to try remove the travel barrier, I suppose, as well. So ensuring that people in each region don't have to travel to Dublin all the time, I suppose, to compete. And it's great to have DIGA there to help us. I suppose our role would be helping administratively, organisation, financially. We subsidise a lot of the tournaments 50% in terms of the entry costs. So for that, they get their green fees, their buggies, food pre and post. So we try to look after them as well as possible. So ensure they'll come back the next time and spread the word. And we put a big emphasis on the social side, and feedback kind of tells us, you know, that the players love socializing with other people with similar disabilities and different disabilities. So that's why we try to add in those kind of pre and post meals for them as well, where they all just get to sit down and chat and say, okay, how do you play? How do you do this? Are you going to the next one? You know, we could carpool. You'll see that happening, you know, once you're out at the events, and it's great to see the friendships that are kind of created at those tournaments. But yeah, I suppose that was the main point, was, you know, there was not really at the regional level for golfers with a disability. So for those who want to go and socialize, they can do that. But for those who genuinely want to compete, which a lot of them do, they have that option as well. There's an order of merit there for that, those tournaments as well, which DIGA are administering. So it kind of, we hope that it's kind of hitting everybody and what they need. But again, from each event, we'll take feedback, and they might look a little bit different next year. But that's kind of how they look at the moment, yeah.
I must say you have a very important role in Golf Ireland, Sarah, because you're helping out a lot of people around the country, to be fair, and it's great to have that there in place for golfers with a disability. For you yourself, it's golf, 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 golf. I mean, do you try play yourself, or is there other things that take up your time?
Yeah, some of the girls in the office will be laughing now when you're asking that question, because I keep saying, I'm definitely joining the club. I'm not with a club at the moment, but I would go out and play 9 holes the odd time, which is nice and refreshing. And it's really important actually to do that as well, because again, the importance of it is regenerated within you. You know, the benefits and health benefits of golf are massive, physically and mental. So it is great to get out on the course, definitely, when you can, yeah.
Sarah, it's been absolutely lovely chatting to you on the Golf Ireland pod this week. Really insightful information for everyone that wouldn't have known that your role was there maybe, or what exactly you do. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us, all right?
Thanks a million, Valerie. Appreciate it.
Now it is time for the news. We will start with the professional game. It was the US Women's Open last week at Lancaster Country Club. Unfortunately, it was a miscut for Leila Maguire and Anya Donegan, and Stephanie Meadow was a late withdrawal. On the PGA Tour, it was the RBC Canadian Open last week. It was a tied 4th finish for Rory McIlroy, a tied 33rd finish for Shane Lowry, and a miscut, unfortunately, for Seamus Power. All 3 will be playing at the Memorial Tournament this week at Muirfield Village. On a more positive front for Seamus Power, though, he qualified for the US Open later this month with a late birdie at the Columbus qualifier. So he is in now the field for Pinehurst, which is very, very exciting. On the DP World Tour, it was a tied 8th finish for Tom McKibben at the European Open last week in Germany. Very good defense of his title. He is now up to 22nd on the race to Dubai, so good stuff there from Tom. On the Ladies European Tour, was a miscut for Olivia Mahaffey and Lauren Walsh at the Dormy Open in Sweden last week. It's the Scandinavian Mix this week in Sweden for Lauren Walsh. It's a very exciting event as well, so best of luck to Lauren. On the Challenge Tour, it was the Challenge to Cadiz this week with Gary Hurley, Conor Purcell, Jonathan Caldwell, Dermot McElroy, Rory McGee, Ronan Mullarney, John Murphy and Robert Moran all in action. Plenty of Irish interest. On the Alps Tour, Paul McBride was the best of the Irish with a tied 6th finish. The Alps de Roquetes de Mar last week, and it's an off week this week for the Alps Tour. On the Clutch Pro Tour, Niall Carney with a tied 15th place finish. And he was the best of the Irish last week at the Q Hotels Collection Championship at Forest Pines. The event this week is in Bowood, and that is started yesterday and runs until Friday. So best of luck there to all involved. Also, the LET Access Series. Sarah Byrne is playing as an amateur at the Montauban Ladies Open in France. So keep an eye out for that, and best of luck to Sarah. On the amateur front, after coming so close to glory on more than one occasion, including heartbreak in a playoff last year, Caolan Rafferty can finally add his name to the long list of Kingspan East of Ireland Open champions. The Dundalk golfer claimed a one-shot victory over Max Kennedy, carrying rounds of 71, 69, 68, and a closing 65 on his way to a 15-under finish. Fantastic golf. And just 5 days removed from her Ulster stroke play victory in Clandeboy, Annabelle Wilson claimed more silver, winning the Ulster Over-18 Women's Senior Championship in Malone by a single stroke. Following on from her comfortable 9-shot winning margin last week, the Castle Rock golfer continued her fine form throughout Sunday, carrying a 4-under of 69. Wilson's 6 birdies helped her to a narrow victory over Jessica Ross from Clandeboy. So well done there. Sylvie Keneally claimed the junior prize with a round of 88, enough to give the Kinsale golfer 22 Stableford points and a 3-point victory over Teresa Meany. On the order of merit front, there was strong performances in all 5 of her appearances this season, have handed Anna Abom a narrow lead at the top of the Bridgestone Women's Order of Merit. A fine start to the 2024 season has seen her finish inside the top 10 of all the tournaments she's played thus far this season, which is incredibly impressive, with a 3rd place finished at the Ulster Women's Amateur Stroke Play. Runner performances in the Cork and Woodbrook Scratch Cups and victory in the Royal County Down Scratch Cup, helping the Edmonton golfer take a 6-point lead over Aideen Walsh at the top of the leaderboard. On the men's front, Matthew McLean's 6th place finish in the East of Ireland Amateur Open was enough to see the Malone golfer maintain his position at the top of the men's standings, as the Irish Men's Amateur Open champion holds a healthy 273-point lead over TJ Ford, who is now in 2nd place. Newly crowned East of Ireland champion Caolan Rafferty has taken a big jump up the table. His win in Baltray handed the Loud man the full complement of 250 points and moved him from tied 17th up to solo 6th. So big moves there made by Caolan. The next opportunity for the men to gain ranking points comes this week, as the Connacht Amateur Stroke Play Championship gets underway in Portumna on Saturday, June 8th. That's very, very exciting. Portumna is an absolutely gorgeous track, so best of luck to the men there. And the Flowgas Irish Women's Amateur Open Championship is up next and scheduled for the women, one of the biggest days on the players' calendar, and they set the tee up in Woodbrook, so that's very, very exciting on both sides there, and plenty of opportunity to gain some valuable points. Okay, that wraps up this week's news section. We thank you once again for listening. We hope you enjoyed the interviews, and we will see you all again next week to do it all again. See you then.